Hello and welcome to Matchday 2 of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm very ill, Craig Savage, and with me is Daniel Cody and Charlie Vetts. Please excuse me, my voice, it sounds terrible, but I'll be on the mend. It's very hoarse. Anyway, moving on. Last week we did our predictions from the first weekend of the Championship, and it was only one perfect score out of all of us, and that was Daniel Cody's 0-0 draw with Millwall versus Stoke. So you see the league table, Daniel Cody's top at the moment, level with me, but just because he's got that perfect score, he's now top of the table. Charlie is only 1 point behind us, so it's still pretty much all to play for. And we move on to game week 2. Let's start off with the Friday night fixture. It is Coventry versus Queen's Park Rangers. I'm not going to talk anymore, so I'm just going to give the prediction of 1-1. Cody.
Well, actually, QPR were probably, I'd argue, the surprise of the weekend, the first week.
Definitely.
I don't know if that's because of Forest, though, because we knew they were going to be unpredictable. Against Coventry, as predicted, they weren't great in front of goal, but they did manage to nick one in a defeat. I mean, you have to go with QPR based on the first day, but as we've said since we started doing these, QPR are the most unpredictable team in the league, and they could well turn up and lose 6-1 this week. You don't know. Neither of them have really signed anyone of note since the last episode, or I don't think anyone at all, actually. So I'm going to have to stick with form. QPR are going to win it, and I'll go 2-0, same scoreline.
Charlie.
So if you listen back to last week, obviously, I sort of predicted QPR league goals for fun, Forest will score loads, and then they kept the clean sheet and beat them 2-0. So obviously, that is the unpredictability of QPR. But I do agree. I think, did your friend Tyler Walker start for Coventry the other night, Dan? Or?
He was on the bench. That was part of the problem.
Right.
Jordi Karuna is still not at the club, though. Interesting.
No, just to sum up really quickly, yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be QPR, but I just can't. You talk about two really unpredictable teams and QPR particularly. So I'm just going to go for a sneak 1-0 win for QPR this time.
Moving on to Saturday, the first game of the day is a 12:30 kickoff between Nottingham Forest and Cardiff. Two teams I expected to be in the playoffs. Starting with Charlie.
Well, as I just mentioned about Forest, didn't we? I never saw that coming. I know that we do this and we're sort of not experts, but I don't know many people who have predicted such a resounding QPR win. So I don't know. Forest have got all that firepower going forward, but they didn't seem to be too fussed about using it. So I think Cardiff will probably, away from home, have a bit less to figure out. You know, I think Cardiff will sneak it away win, actually. And I know I expect Forest to go up. Maybe it needs a bit of time for a few of the strikers to bed in. I don't know. So I'm going to go Cardiff 2-1. But yeah, I don't know about Forest, really. It's a bit of a tough one.
Cody.
I mean, it's the two disappointments of the first weekend, isn't it? Cardiff were poor at home to Sheffield Wednesday, who we said had a good side. It's just the points deduction that put us off, but they looked scintillating going forward on the counter. For Forest, I mean, who knows? It's going to take them a while, I think. I think it's going to lead to one or two things, either a slow start and then a sudden change in momentum, or it will be a change of manager that causes it. And we know that Forest aren't afraid to pull the trigger if they need to. So I'm going to stick with Cardiff to nick it this weekend, but I'm going to go just for a 1-0 because neither side looked good.
I think this will be quite tight, so I'm not going to ramble more on about this. I'm going to go for 1-1 myself. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs. It's Blackburn Rovers versus Wycombe. Charlie, starting with you.
I mean, Dan kindly put in a little stat before we come on air about, Wycombe's sort of reliance on the long ball and all of that. So I'm not going to take credit for it. You should check it out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect them to lose to Rotherham. I've got to be honest. But Blackburn, they do score goals, but then they leak them as well. And actually, maybe that suits Wycombe a bit more, gives them a bit more space to play in. Those sort of a team that's going to bomb forward like Blackburn and try and hit them on the counter. So I do think Wycombe will score. Whether they've got enough to beat Blackburn, I don't think they will. So I think it's going to be 2-1 Blackburn. But I do think that Wycombe will give it a good go this week.
Yeah, I expect it to be another tight game with Wycombe. They'll feel a bit hard done by losing 1-0 in the last minute, but that's Championship for you. That's how cool it can be. I still don't think they will score. I think Blackburn's experience just being in their Championship will be enough. So I'm going to go for Blackburn 2, Wycombe 0. Cody.
Well, I have to disagree with Wycombe not scoring because Blackburn were the only team to let him free at the weekend. So we have to go for that. I know it was against a Bournemouth side who looked pretty solid. But Blackburn gave as good as they got in that game. And they were unlucky not to get something in the end. Jack Stacey scoring a screamer. That was nice for us as Luton fans. With Wycombe, They ruined it for me. I'm hating them again already because I was 1 minute away from 2 perfect 0-0s and they ruined it in the last minute. So I have to be in a bit of a strop about that. But I think Wycombe will score similar to Charlie, and I've gone for exactly the same score. But I'm tempted to nick a third goal in there for Blackburn, but I'm not going to this week. 2-1.
Brentford versus Huddersfield is the first official league game at Brentford's new stadium. Last week I said, obviously, they did the right, but now they're away. This time they're at home. I'm going to go for Brentford to win just 1-0. Charlie.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull the trigger on the Brentford bandwagon and start saying because they lost to Birmingham, that it's all going wrong. I mean, I think Birmingham, we did say have actually done well over the summer. I just don't think we maybe expect, we'll talk about them in a minute, but I don't really expect them to gel as quick as they have, obviously. But anyway, so I don't think the loss to Brentford's loss to Birmingham was as disastrous as what maybe it come across as. So I do think that actually just a little blip. I expect them to be Huddersfield, who are probably still low in confidence anyway. So I'm going to go for a Brentford win. Not a massive one, but I'm going to go 2-0 Brentford, especially with that home playing in that new ground for the first competitive time.
Well, second, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, in the league.
Cody.
It's another hard one to predict. Brentford weren't great last week, to be brutally honest. Huddersfield, I predicted to go down. They have made signings since the last episode we recorded. So are they going to potentially go for it? I don't know. But I can't look at Brentford and see anything convincing at the minute. I know you guys still had them in your playoff talk. I think one of you went for them in the playoffs, didn't you? If not both. But for me, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to stick my neck on the line here and say that because both teams are in poor form and because it's Brentford's first league game at the stadium, they weren't great in the cup game there. I'm going to go for a draw as well. I'm going to go for the most thrilling of 0-0s of the weekend.
Next up, it's Luton Town. They're at home to Derby. Derby lost to Reading at Pride Park. Luton won 1-0 away at Barnsley. Brilliant result for both teams, really. Well, Luton and Reading, really. I think Luton might do this one again. I think, obviously, it depends on Rooney to fit. I can probably gel Derby a bit better. No, I'm going to go for Luton to win 2-1. Collins and Cornick. Cody.
Well, James Collins to get a goal is probably one of the most certain bets in the Championship at the moment. But Derby were awful last weekend. I mean, Lucas João, he started the season on something else, which we'll get to with Reading. But for Derby, I'm not quite sure. The one thing I've got a nagging doubt in my mind is that Luton, since the lockdown, without the home fans, it has affected them at home more than many other sides. So as a result, I'm going to play it safe, and I don't want to appear to be biased by going for Luton every week. So I'm going to go for a nice, safe 1-1 draw.
Charlie?
Yeah, similar sort of form. I think, like you say about Luton's home record, I think there's not an anxiousness about it, but there probably is a little bit going into home games, a bit more of a, that kind of feeling about the club. So I don't think they'll win. I think there'll be more goals in it. I think, like you mentioned about, you've got James Collins, people like that. Barnsley were probably going to set up a bit different to someone like Derby, who are maybe expected to win. So I would like to think that gives Luton a bit more space to play in. But at the same time, I still think there's a bit of that vulnerability I mentioned last week at the back. I know they kept a clean sheet, ironically, but I just think against a bit more quality. So I'm going to go for a draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough, they're at home to Bournemouth. Bournemouth picked up a 3-2 win. Jason Tindall's first game in charge of Bournemouth. Cody, start with you.
Well, Neil Warnock's starting to do it again. He talked about getting 4 or 5 more signings in, and he's starting to do it now. Sam Morsey, the old skipper from Wigan's, a great signing. Bettinelli as a keeper is a very good player. I feel like now I would be a fool not to back Neil Warnock, to be brutally honest. I think he's got a good side there. But Bournemouth started really well going forward, so I can see this, despite Neil Warnock's best intentions, being a bit of a thriller. And as a result, I'm going to go for Middlesbrough to nick it. Middlesbrough to nick it 2-1, but Bournemouth will make Middlesbrough ride their luck.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think there'll be goals. I agree. I think there'll be goals. But I think it'll go the other way. I think that as great as Bournemouth were last week, and obviously scoring, 3, they still let in 2 against Blackburn. So I see a similar sort of pattern. And in fact, I'm going to go for the same scoreline again. I'm going to go Bournemouth 3, Middlesbrough 2.
I'm going to have to go the same scoreline as Cody, to be honest. 2-1 to Middlesbrough. Do you know what? I know Bournemouth won. Wasn't really convinced by Bournemouth. Middlesbrough weren't really convinced by Middlesbrough against Watford, to be honest. Yeah, but I'm going to go with Middlesbrough. I think they'll do this one 2-1. Next up is the Alex Neil derby. It's Norwich versus Preston at Carrow Road. I could see this just being a draw. I really can. I won't go into more detail because my voice is killing me. 1-1.
I'm actually going to be bold here. I think Preston will sneak an away win. And I think that's because of all the games that Alex Neil's probably going to want to win, it's going to be this one. I think also that aside, even from a more technical perspective, I think that Norwich, in watching the Premier League, they do lack that physicality. You know, for all great as they are sort of on the deck, they do lack that physicality. I think Preston have got a good side, but they're a very physical side as well. And I expect them to actually go there and dominate them in those sort of key areas and things like that. So with that in mind, I think actually they'll get a bit intimidated, Norwich, with their sort of, what I just spoke about. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 away win for Preston.
For me, it's a bit hard to judge the first day of the season for these two because Norwich won 1-0 but against a very poor Huddersfield side and Preston lost 1-0 but against a very good Swansea side. So I don't want to read too much into the results, particularly at this stage of the season. Both teams look solid enough. They're stable under good managers, but I can't look past Norwich for it. So I am going to go, probably surprisingly, for a quite convincing Norwich win. I'm going to go for 3-1.
Next up at the Matchday is Reading versus Barnsley. I think this is going to be my game of the weekend. I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2. Charlie.
I don't know. We mentioned it last week. Reading, incredibly inconsistent. Not sure what their sort of ethos or their ambition as a club is. And then they went and got a great win. So I don't know. It points towards a Reading win. You know, they've obviously beaten a good side, and then Barnsley likely to be a team that's down the bottom. And I just think maybe they'll have a bit of momentum. They showed a bit of momentum during the lockdown, pulled some wins together and a good string of results. So I think a bit of momentum might get them over the line in this one. But I don't think it'll be as convincing as maybe last week. So I'm going to go 1-0 Reading.
Cody.
Barnsley, I noticed, had signed a centre-half from Poland at the end of last week. So I'm not sure if that's going to have an impact quite quickly or not. But for me, I've predicted Barnsley to finish bottom this year. Lucas João, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, in the Carabao Cup tie, he was world-class, basically. And last weekend against Derby, he took the mix. So I've got to go for Lucas João to go goal glut galore. And I'm going for a 4-1 win for Reading. This is my game of the weekend too, Craig.
I'm glad we're coming to an agreement that this is going to be the game of the weekend, and it'll probably be 0-0. Next up, Rotherham versus Millwall. Charlie, start with you.
I honestly don't know. This one I found the hardest out of all of them to predict, and I don't really know why. Because obviously Rotherham got a win against Wycombe. Millwall drew with a good Stoke side, so actually there's not that much to split between them in a weird way. You know, obviously, you look on paper, you probably would do that. Going by the previous results, I do think Millwall got a bit more quality about their side. Obviously, and we mentioned that in our sort of pre-season predictions. But, Rotherham dealt with a physical Wycombe side, and that's sort of Millwall's game. I know Gary Rowett is a good manager, but they do rely a lot on that physicality, last season, Matt Smith, all that kind of thing. So I don't really know which way it's going to go. So on that basis, I have to go for another draw for Millwall. I think there might be 2 goals in it, so I'm going to go 1-1. But for me, it could go one way. It could be, 1-1. It could end up being 4-1 Millwall. But I can't split much between them at the minute, as silly as that sounds.
Cody.
Well, I'm not gone for the same for Charlie because Rotherham, yes, they did nick a late winner at Wycombe, but I don't want to read too much into that. Millwall are a very good side. They play a good style of football. It's not quite as direct as it used to be, but there is still a big element to it. And I think Millwall are just going to overpower Rotherham in that game. And ironically, I think a bit similar to Luton last year, Rotherham will be better away from home while there's no limited fans. So I'm going to go for a Millwall win. I'm just edging between 1 or 2-0. I'm going to go for 2 because they're going to get a late second. 2-0 Millwall.
No, I agree with Charlie's scoreline, to be honest. I think Rotherham will be buzzing from obviously getting that last minute winner. Obviously, Millwall probably be buzzing. It's a good point away at Stoke. So I think this one will be another tight one. So I will go for a 1-1 draw. -9 Sheffield Wednesday are at home to Watford, who beat Middlesbrough in the opening game of the Championship season. Do you know what? Sheffield Wednesday would surprise me. I wasn't expecting a 2-0 win against Cardiff. But I think Watford might just be a bit too strong for them this weekend. So I'm going to go for a Watford win 2-1. Cody.
I mean, this has all the ingredients to be an unbelievable game of football. But whether it will turn out that way or not is a different question. I can see Sheffield Wednesday scoring goals because they look so good on the break, as we mentioned. They had Izzy Brown, Jordan Rhodes and Josh Windass as the front three. And it looked lethal, to be brutally honest. So I have to back Sheffield Wednesday to get goals. Watford, though, look very organised. And those few instances where Middlesbrough did put them under pressure, they looked resolute. I know they've lost to Corey, but that's only going to help them for the season, and they were never expecting him to stay. So, as a result of that, everything in my head is telling me to go for 2-2, but I don't think Watford are going to let in 2 goals. So, as a result, I will go for Watford to win 2-1, as much as it pains me.
Charlie?
Yeah, I won't overlabour some of the stuff you've said, but yeah, I think it should lead to 2 attacking teams, which is a good spectacle, you know, in terms of watching the game. I do think it'll be a draw. I just don't think there's much to split between them. But I'm going to go probably a bit bolder than that. I'll go 3-3. And I just think that I know what we were saying about not letting goals and stuff, but away from home, will Watford travel well? I don't know. So I'm going to go for 3-3.
Swansea versus Birmingham at the Liberty Stadium. Cody, something.
Oh.
It's such a tough one, this. Birmingham were excellent against Brentford, but we don't really know how good Brentford were. Swansea looked like they picked up from the same as last season. And I had them just to miss out on the playoffs, and I think I'm going to regret it, to be honest. So, because they're 2 very good sides, they both look very solid defensively, and both of them have a threat on the break. I have to play safe again. So, I know I did it a lot last weekend, but it worked once. So, I'm going for 1-1.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think the consistency of Swansea's helped massively, not really having a big overhaul or anything like that. So I'm going to go for a Swansea win. I think it's a great result for Birmingham, but I just think that maybe the first game of the season is a bit of excitement and people are maybe taking notice of them a little bit more. And I know that sounds a bit of a cliche, but actually, you know, I think teams were set up differently to play against Birmingham than what they would have done maybe if they hadn't picked up a result against Brentford. So on that basis, I'm going to go for a Swansea win. It will be a very close one. I'm going to go for 2-1 Swansea City.
Yeah, it's going to be tight, to be honest. But I don't see it. For all my picks today, I have not gone one that's really convincing. I think it's going to be another tight, like it was in match day 1. I think Swansea will nick this one 2-0. I think there'll be a late Swansea goal. 2 late Swansea goals. I think Birmingham will keep it tight for 75, and then the last 15. I think Swansea will break them down. The score, 2. And the final game is on Sunday, Stoke City versus Bristol City at the Britannia. Oh, sorry, Bet365. I should say now. Cody, something you.
Well, let's call it the Britannia. It's a better name anyway, isn't it? For Stoke Bristol City, it's quite tough because Bristol City have signed well the last few weeks, and as a result, they'll let in less goals. But Michael O'Neill's Stoke looks so resolute against Millwall. Exactly what we expected. I will be shocked, and you can hold me to this after 46 weeks, if Stoke don't concede the least goals in the Championship this year. So that is my main prediction of the weekend. But Stoke will win this game because Bristol City need a little longer to gel in an attacking sense. And I am going to go for Stoke City 2, Bristol City 0.
Charlie?
Yeah, similar sort of vein. I back Michael O'Neill massively in all of this. I think, like you say, about Bristol City, defensively. I mean, they did score 2 the other day, but that was against Coventry, so maybe not read too much into that. But I think it'll be a bit tighter than that because I do think, like you said, they have signed well, and particularly at the back. So on that basis, I'm going to go for a Stoke win. I'm going to go 1-0. 1-0 for Stoke at the Britannia.
I nearly did that.
I'm going the opposite way to you both.
Wow.
Yeah,
you really hate John Obi Mikel, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to be his fault. No, honestly, I think Bristol City look a bit more sharper than Stoke, so I think they're going to sneak this one 2-1 at the Britannia, not Bet365. And those are our predictions for match day 2 of the Championship season. Let us know in the comments section if you agree with us, disagree with us, or type your own predictions. Let us know what you predict for this weekend. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and you can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.